And OPEC has announced it will cut oil production. This is great, isn't it? OPEC. Some of the greediest people on this earth want to drive up oil prices so poor people can't heat their homes this winter. Let me be clear about this. Every American needs to punish OPEC, and that includes whoever the next president might be. And so we begin our final conversation with Barack Obama in that light. $150 billion to alternative energy in the Obama administration.
Over 10 years.
Okay, over 10 years.
Yeah.
To what? What's it going to be?
Let me give you some examples. We have to extend tax credits for solar, wind, hydro. We just visited
but
a hydro.
But you're scattershotting it, though. What if solar, wind, and hydro don't work?
But that was true for the space program. Kennedy didn't know how we were going to go to the moon. The nature of discovery and research and innovation is you put money into a whole bunch of promising pots. It's like venture capital. And you figure out what works, and some things are going to work and some things are not. Look, I had a meeting with T. Boone Pickett.
I'm with you.
Here's an example. He is absolutely right that we can't sustain importing 70%.
Everybody knows that, but you've got to have a plan.
And I do have a plan.
You should get nukes involved. Why are you against nuclear energy when France and Sweden do it?
I am not against
nuclear energy. Well, let's get the plants up.
Well, okay, why not?
Let's start drilling in Anwar. What are you afraid? Are you afraid of scaring
Anwar, I think, is a problem.
What, a caribou is going to be scared? Come on. You're with the folks. They can't pay their heating bill, and you're worried about a caribou going, what's that pipeline doing?
But I tell you, listen.
What?
One of the great things about this country, we've got some beautiful real estate here.
Oh, come on. Nobody goes to Anwar. You know what, are you going to run shuttles up there?
We are lucky to have some of the most beautiful real estate on earth. And we want to make sure that we want to make sure we're passing on to the next generation. But this notion that I'm opposed to nuclear power, it's just not true.
I don't want to hear pristine. I don't want to hear caribou.
It's not that hard to understand.
We're going to get this many new plants. Right. We're going to put this much into solar. We're going to get this. And that would drive down the price of oil.
I'll help you.
No, that's your deal. I'm not running for anything.
No. I'll make sure to send that plan so that you can start advertising.
Well, you can come back on and tell me.
I look forward to it.
All right. Now, NATO doesn't fight in Afghanistan. I don't know whether you know that or not. The Germans won't fight. The French will because of Sarkozy.
They lost 10 of their troops.
But the Germans won't, a lot of the others won't. So it's all on us again. Why won't the Germans fight against the Taliban?
You know part of the reason?
What?
Part of the reason is that we soured our relationship with the Europeans after Iraq. And when I went over to Europe, and if you listen to that speech in Berlin, which a lot of your buddies had a good time making fun of.
I don't have any buddies.
But if you listen to what I said, one of the things I said in that speech is you cannot think that the Americans are going to just carry all the freight on this thing. You guys have to step up to the plate.
So when you're president...
But Bob Gates, the Secretary of Defense, who, by the way, I think is a serious guy in this administration and has helped straighten out some of the foreign policy problems, he himself has acknowledged that part of the problem is politically there's enough anti-Iraq sentiment in there in Europe
to poison the well for Afghanistan.
To poison the well for Afghanistan.
So you're going to change all that with a magic wand?
I'm not going to change all that with a magic wand. I'm not going to change anything with a magic wand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to engage in the kind of deliberate diplomacy and change our policy in Iraq to send a signal to the world. The Central Front on Terror right now is in Afghanistan and the hills between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
You can't change the thing in Iraq if it's going to benefit Iran, and that's going to be your minefield.
But Bill, you and I probably agree on the fact that Iran's one of the biggest beneficiaries of us going into Iraq in the first place.
Has been, but not now. Now they're paying a big price for miscalculating the resolve of our country.
I will say that the fact that the Shia militias have folded up right now is a good thing. Now you've got these special groups in the south, which is still a problem, and we've got to deal with those.
Okay. United States and Poland putting a missile shield in Poland. All right? Putin doesn't like it. You going to keep that missile shield in there?
I think that we have to make sure that, I've said this before, the Russians are playing a game when they pretend that this missile shield is directed against all their ICBMs.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a defensive thing.
It's a defensive thing. And
so you're going to keep it there?
And given what has happened in Georgia, I think that we have to send a clear signal that Poland and other countries in that region are not going to be subject to intimidation and aggression.
Okay,
and
so I just want to get this on a record. You're elected president. You're keeping the missile shield in Poland.
I believe that the missile shield is appropriate. I want to make sure it works, though. I want to make sure it works,
We're testing.
which is actually one of the problems that we've got.
So Putin comes out last week and he says, hey, look, we're going to reimpose our dominance on all of the countries that surround us. We don't care whether you like it or not because you're tied down in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're going to do what we want to do. Right. Putin's a nasty little guy, number one. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, I'll agree with the assessment that I wouldn't look into his soul and think I know him.
I put a cowboy hat on again. Yeah. This is going to be a problem.
It is a huge problem.
Okay. And you're going to have to confront Putin.
That's exactly right.
Maybe not militarily. Maybe you can do it other ways. But Europe is weak and Europe is cowardly.
Right.
You know, whether they're going to have another meeting? Yeah, Putin's quaking, aren't they? Isn't Putin quaking about another meeting?
Here's the one thing
I know you're going to rally them all. They're going to be terror warriors right after you get elected. I know.
Look, I mean, there are two things where we can have some leverage over Russia. Number one is that commercially, they are tied up with Europe, and they are increasingly integrating. Their stock market has taken a beating since they went into Georgia.
Yeah, but Putin doesn't care.
Well, Putin may not care, but there are a whole bunch of folks, a whole bunch of billionaires in Moscow who do care, right? So that's a leverage point, and the Europeans can be helpful in applying that leverage point. That's point number one. The second thing that we have to do is actually defensive. We've got to get our energy policy straight.
Now, final question for you. I think I can kick your butt in one-on-one basketball.
You've got height.
Okay.
But I think I've got speed.
But you got youth. I'm an old guy. I'm 73 years old. I know. Yeah, this is Botox.
Is that right? You look good, man.
How many are you going to spot me on a living?
Looking like that 73.
I don't need it. How many are you going to spot me on a one-on-one game, huh? Because I think
game to 11?
Yeah.
I'd spot you 10.
All right. You spot me 10. That's pretty cocky. That's pretty cocky. So now I win. All right, I want to be Secretary of State.
Now, I hear you're...
If I win, I want to be Secretary of State.
I hear you're a pretty good athlete, but your game was football and baseball, right?
Right. Senator, a pleasure.
I enjoyed it.
All right, I enjoyed it too. I hope you come back. And good luck in the campaign.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And we will televise that basketball game if it happens. If I win, I'm Secretary of State. Next on